and welcome to the Fitness Oracle, where we have real conversations with real people just like you, with real stories just like yours. And this is one of their stories. I am your host, John Katsavos. My guest today is Dr. Andreia Horta from AndreaChristina.com. Andrea is a naturopathic doctor, health coach, catalyst for human transformation, and loves being a positive change in people's lives. Dr. Horta, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me. And it's Andrea, not Andrea.
I'm sorry, Andrea. I'm sorry.
It's, because it's like hard to, the spelling of it is a little bit off, so that's why.
Okay, I should know better because I'm Greek and I know Andrea and Andrea, two different names. I know I should know better. So how have your webinars been going? You've been doing quite a bit.
Anxiety webinars, they've been amazing. I feel super blessed. Arigato to my webinars, because every time I host them, people learn a lot. Like I did even one last week for a bank group, and everyone took down, because that's the cool thing about the webinar that I'm teaching is very practical. So it's like these hands-on solutions. So it's all about anxiety, and I talk about 3 solutions for anxiety. These solutions are solutions that I see time and time again that are like, people aren't doing them, and that's why they have anxiety. So I give, at the end of each solution, I give homework, and then we kind of wrap it up. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's cool. Actually, on one of your YouTube posts, because you do a lot of stuff on YouTube, I've been noticing, you actually do talk about anxiety and breath work. So how do you use breathing to help anxiety?
Yeah, it's a great question, John. So I've done a little bit of research on this. And what the research shows is that if you're able to get your breath rate for about anything less than 10 breaths per minute, ideally in the 5 to 6 range per minute, if you can get your breath into that zone, then what happens is that there's this really positive effect on your parasympathetic nervous system. So you have your fight or flight nervous system, or your rest and digest. Your fight or flight is your sympathetic nervous system. In Latin, simpa is like to feel, right? So fight or flight, you got to run for it. You're feeling all this pressure, you got to run for it. And that's your sympathetic nervous system. Then you have your rest and digest. And rest and digest is all about relaxing, calming down, nourishing the body. And so when you're in that, and that's called parasympathetic. So when you're doing this type of breath work, it actually builds the resiliency of your parasympathetic nervous system. It works on that side, making you, instead of like jumping on alert towards something, you're actually going to stay more calm. Something will go off, a fire will go off, something will run in front of you, but you'll be like, I'm okay. Let's check it out. And so you end up becoming more grounded. There's other benefits with slowing down the breath, where it increases something called heart rate variability, HRV. And I'm sure you know of this marker in the health world. So now more people are talking about it. High heart rate variability means that there's a greater space between the heartbeats. So maybe like one heartbeat is like a wide space and then another smaller space. So there's more variability between the heartbeats. The higher the heart rate variability, the better overall your risks for like cardiovascular disease, the better overall risks for metabolic disorders, any diabetes, blood pressure problems. It's better for mortality, so it reduces the risk of mortality as well as improves your morbidity. So it has all these like win, 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 win. And then on top of that, the research shows that if you have higher HRV, you improve your overall quality. You improve your overall quality of life. Sorry about that. So like I was saying, you improve your quality of life, which is super powerful, right? And it's all done through breath. And that's what really blows my mind. It's all done through breath. So when we bring it back to anxiety, it's all about, okay, what are we going to do for anxiety? Anxiety, we want to really slow everything down, bring yourself into parasympathetic, which the breath does that. And so you have anxiolytic benefits, you have antidepressive benefits. It really helps basically any mental health condition.
Cool.
Like
Also,
even people with like ADHD for sure would benefit from it.
cool. Very cool. So also in one of your other YouTube videos, you also talk about a morning, a tech morning detox. Does that also, can that also impair somebody's like anxious moods throughout the day? And how would you go about the tech morning detox?
Yeah, that's a good one, especially for today's day and age. Everyone's so attached to their phone. They go to bed with their phone. They go to the washroom with their phone. You know, they're on the toilet with their phone. It's kind of funny, right? But it's true, right? So a mobile tech detox, basically it's a way to slowly get off technology and to disconnect from electronics, because many of the old school wise men and women, they would say that electricity and EMFs, electromagnetic radiation, is really affecting our nerves. It's affecting our nervous system, it's affecting our brains. And so being able to disconnect from it and set the intention to have your own space away from the phone is really, really important. So in terms of a tech detox, I like to challenge my patients with either a morning tech detox or an evening, or both if you get into the practice. I know for me, I have both. So for instance, you would set a time, a bookend time. So in the morning, you'd wake up at, let's say if you wake up at 6:30, from 6:30 to let's say 7:30, you do not touch the phone at all. I know it's tempting because you want to check your emails and Instagram and everything, right? But there's no rush, right? Half the time when you're checking emails, it's other people's agenda. It's not your agenda. It's not something really important to you, right? It's just other people's stuff. So during that hour, you set the intention, I'm going to be away from the phone. I'm going to be focused on myself. I'm going to be focused on nourishing myself, starting the day off right, maybe doing a meditation, some breathing, maybe doing some journaling, maybe some exercise first thing in the morning, and really giving yourself that time for you. And then once you've set your intention for the day, and you're really like, okay, ready, gonna have an amazing day today, that's when you turn on your phone. So you give yourself space.
That's interesting because I've been doing a lot of research on some of the highest performers, like money wise and business wise, and everybody from like Jeff Bezos and everybody else like that. They always have that same fate, that same kind of routine where they don't touch any electronics for like an hour when they wake up,
Yeah.
and that's what they call me time because their days are just so crazy. Like,
Yeah, what Elon Musk, he writes down his agenda every 5 minutes, like what he's doing. So imagine, right? Like if you have that space for yourself and you totally disconnect. And then and other ways to do a tech detox, if you feel like you can't do that, would be just to take like a half day off on Sunday, where you actually leave your phone behind. And I know both you and I, we were part of that business accelerator for London Real. And Brian suggests, he's like, go for a 3-hour walk. He's like, don't bring your phone. Right? And it's true. Like, did you go on that walk?
I always go on 3-hour walks on the weekends. That's the only time that I have actual time to go to for long walks. But now
Okay.
with my triathlon training, I actually have to leave my phone behind. So because I'm already attached to one device and another device for the heart rate monitor. So it's like,
Right.
okay, the phone too, like, okay, enough is enough. Just leave the phone behind.
And how does that feel when because the thing is you're still connected there, but when you've left your phone at home, how has that felt for you?
I used to be okay with it, but I don't know, last 17 weeks that I've been part of London Real, it's just it feels like I'm attached to the phone now consistently,
Yeah.
and it's a feeling that I don't like having. I don't like feeling like handcuffed to a device.
And it's not even you. It's like physiologically, there's a dopamine hit and dopamine hit and dopamine hit. It's like literally pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Look, feedback, feedback, feedback. It's happening inside your nervous system. You don't even know that it's happening. Like there's times when and this is the scary thing, like I usually try to post on Instagram and then walk away. But if I stay on there, it's like next thing you know, and as soon as I pick up my phone, I go there. And I'm like, but I don't even want to go there. Why am I going there? And it's because your brain has now neurally connected to this like pathway. And you know that at the end of that pathway, you're going to get a hit. And the hit is not a drug. The hit is actually a brain chemical called dopamine, which gives you pleasure, which gives you focus, attention, you know, it makes you feel good. And it's kind of scary. That's why there was all this talk about, what was it? That it was the main guy that used to work for Facebook. He left it to start another business. Can't remember his name. He has a really, really long name. Can't remember his name right now. But anyways, he was like booed and shunned down. But then he ended up on all these conferences to talk about what he realized is because he started having kids and he started seeing what Facebook and Instagram does to kids' minds. Because look what it does to adults' minds, and we're conscious of it. Let alone imagine a tech detox for a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I see it with, I actually see it firsthand with kids. Like you give them a cell phone, you try to take away from it. Like for a 5-year-old, it's like they have a spaz attack, like a really bad tantrum.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. Does this also can this also affect the circadian rhythm with people?
Oh, that's a good question. I've never looked into the research of electronics and circadian rhythm, but I can just tell you a little bit what I know about circadian rhythm, and then maybe we can kind of like hypothesize what the interaction would be.
Yeah, sure.
So like a circadian rhythm is like a biological process. It's a natural process of a 24-hour cycle of the day. So for example, when you wake up first thing in the morning between 5 and 7, you wake up and then all of a sudden cortisol, that stress hormone, is released, right? And then you're awake, you're alert, and your body starts to warm up temperature. And as it's warming up, you go about your day. The next time you get another dose of hormones would be when you eat, and you get maybe an insulin rush, right? And then at around 9 or 10, usually I had written down some notes about this, but usually between 9 and 10, there's peak alertness. And this is a general, okay? Because there are chronotypes for some people that are different than what I'm explaining, but this is a general 24-hour circadian rhythm. So wake up in the morning, 5 to 7, full on cortisol, lots of energy. And then you get into peak alertness around 9 or 10. At around, testosterone can get released as well, around 9 or 10 in the morning. Then around 5 p.m., it's peak strength. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. A lot of the training forums that you go on, they'll say, yeah, the best time to train is between 4:30, 5:30 in the afternoon, or somewhere in the afternoon, because your nervous system, your hormones, everything's in balance because of the rhythm of the day. So it's the best time to actually gain strength. And then as your circadian rhythm starts to turn around into the evening, you come into 8 p.m. and around 8 p.m. is when cortisol drops, that stress hormone comes down, and melatonin comes up. So melatonin is your sleep hormone. So they're actually an opposite parallel. Like they're not parallel, they're opposite. So if cortisol is still up, then that melatonin cannot come up to get you into deep sleep. And you want to follow that circadian rhythm into deep sleep, because around 2 a.m. in the morning is when you have the highest concentration of active white blood cells. So that's why whenever we're talking about corona and immune system, we know that sleep is so important. Why? Because you're regenerating and you're releasing basically the highest amount of white blood cell activity, which are your defenders, right? So you have this like beautiful rhythm of the day, and you need to actually go into each one. If your sleep is interrupted, for example, if you work out late at night, I have some patients that do this, and I warn them not to. But if they work out late at night, what happens is sometimes that cortisol and adrenaline is still pumping in through their system, and their body's not able to get rid of it fast enough. So they stay up, and they stay up till like 1 or 2 or 3, or they're just watching stuff. But this is totally eating away at the regeneration that their body should be getting for the whole evening, so that cortisol can ramp up again. So it disrupts the melatonin. You can't go into deep sleep at all. So that's why it's so important to actually like follow it. There are some people that will say, no, I feel the most alert at like 4 p.m. or something, Sometimes you'll hear people say this, but it could be that's their chronotype. It could just be that's their circadian rhythm is a little bit different. And so if they really know that in themselves, then they can monitor their rhythm to make sure they're getting the right sleep at the right time,
Yeah,
What about
actually,
you?
I was gonna say there's a couple of points that I wanted to touch up with that. What would you say to somebody who is forced to work nights?
Yeah, that's the issue, right? The issue is night shifts and what are they called? Jet lag people that travel a lot. That's why those people tend to have like 30 to 40% risk in a lot of these diseases like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, metabolic stuff, because it's just really hard on the body. So we've seen that if the circadian rhythm is off, then you can have higher weight gain, you can have slower thinking, you can have people that behaviors they're more impulsive, they're just more irritable almost. So what would I say to them? I would say start looking for a job that matches the day. I mean, I did it. I bartended for God, I probably bartended for 17 years. Like I bartended for a long time. So I was in the night. I was in the night for 3 days a week. And I remember sitting with my acupuncturist, my traditional Chinese medicine doctor, and she said to me, every single time you work 3 nights until 5:30 or 6 in the morning, it takes you 3 days to recover, to reset that rhythm. So 3 days, nights, 3 days to recover. So I was recovering on Thursday. So let's say it was Sunday recovering, Monday, Tuesday. So by Wednesday, I feel normal again. Like all my hormones are back into balance. I felt good. And then Thursday, I'd have to go back to work. So I was constantly depleted. You get sick a lot faster like this. I gain weight a lot faster like this. It's like my brain I was always foggy. So it's just a matter of time. You have to get out of it somehow.
That's interesting because I actually noticed the same thing because I used to work security. I was a security guard downtown Toronto. Uh,
What? You were?
yeah, I was working nights. I was only on the night shift. I only wanted the night shift. Um, yeah, and I would always find it really hard uh, to recover. Like sometimes I would have a hard time going to sleep during the day because I just couldn't sleep. So yeah, I forced myself out of that job, thank God.
Yeah, you
Any
have
se-
to. There's only one way out.
any security guards out there listening, force yourself to get out of there. There's always an out. There's always an out, trust me. Uh, Switching gears a little bit here.
Mhm.
Uh, you talk a lot about how the importance of physical activity is. What are some of the benefits of becoming physically active and trying to keep in tune with the circadian rhythm that we just talked about? Like, I know some people's work schedules doesn't really set ideal timelines to work out. So how could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think whenever people talk about timelines, I used to train just like you. So whenever we go through our, clients' trainings, objections, timeline is always one of them. I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. So I think one of the biggest pieces is finding out why they want to get physically active, because that is going to be one of the key motivators for them to actually change their whole entire life. Because if they're in a normal program right now where they're waking up just before, and like this I hear this a lot. So they're waking up just before they have to like be on a call and jump into business. And then they go straight, and then they go in mommy and daddy duty, and then they stay up watching TV because they're so exhausted to do anything else, and then they crash out, short sleep, and then they start all over again. So if they're stuck in that, nothing is going to get them out of that. So the only thing that you have to ask is like, why is it that they want to get physically active? And, despite my reasons are being sedentary is the new smoking. Like it actually increases your risks of many diseases. Metabolic disease was never something we used to see before. Metabolic disease is a combination disease where people have dysregular sugars, dysregular blood pressure, truncal obesity, which is really close to your heart, which is scary. And then what's the other one? Cholesterol, irregular lipids. So like we see this a lot, fatty liver, it's happening a lot. And so like just those reasons alone are going to increase your mortality. Like you will, knock on wood, it's like sad to say, but your mortality will increase. Not to mention if you're, not working out, you're probably going to get into like worse habits. You know what I mean? Because you're not as conscious as when you're working out. So for me, one of the other reasons is like, for me, benefits would be like confidence, right? You just feel so good. You feel good in your body. You feel strong. You can walk with your posture differently. You put on your clothes and you feel more like yourself. That changes everything. It changes the way that you interact with people. It changes the way that if you go out to go see someone or not, you know what I mean? Like that's how I feel, at least. Mm-hmm. So to bring it back to whether or not, this relates to other people, the first thing I'd ask them is like, why do they want to add lifestyle activity into their life? Because if they don't have an internal why, if they don't know why they're doing it, they're not going to do it. Like I can tell you one of my patients a while back, she was in her late 60s and also diabetic. Okay. And what was her why? Right? What was her why? At the age of like 60 or 70 years old, what's going to cause you to exercise when you have this like long day and you're used to this pattern of your life, just sitting and watching TV after work? Like what's going to change that? So you have to have a really deep why. And for her, it was to see her grandkids, to play with her grandkids. It was that once she connected to that why, next thing you know, boom, she got a membership, got her husband a membership. She'd never even been to a gym in her life. Like it changed everything, right? And it has to be a good why. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. They're just not going to do it.
I think that's the most powerful question that we have in the English language. I know Simon Sinek spoke about that. It's what is your why?
Yeah.
Everything has to start with that.
I love that. I actually answered that one day when I was watching his talk. I answered that and I was like, what? How did I not know this the whole time? I should have my why in front of me every day, because you forget. You're so busy doing things that you forget your why. And that's exactly what I tell my patients to do. Take your why, put it on your fridge, put it on the door before you walk out of your door, and every single day, hit your why. Why am I doing this? Look at your why. Because otherwise you'll forget, just like I did. We're human beings, Yep. Well, we're divine spiritual beings having this human experience, but humans are flawed. We're all flawed. There's nothing perfect about us. You know what I mean?
I know. And that's what makes us amazing, that it's our imperfections that make us unique from one another, and we should be celebrating that. That's my personal view.
Yes, I agree. Celebrate differences. It's the ego that tries to compare and tell you that you're not as good as the other person. But differences are what makes us unique. Look at a tree. There's like 1,000 trees outside. They don't compare themselves. They're all different.
Yeah. Every
single one of them is different. Yet they're all beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah. But with respect to the timeline, if people are having a hard time with time, my biggest my trick that I usually do with them is to ask them to do sit down and do a time block just for 1 week. So Monday to Saturday, let's say they take Sunday off, Monday to Saturday, to write down all the fixed things that they absolutely do. It's like set in stone. Absolutely, I have to do this, I have to do this. And then see where there's gaps. And then start with a really small amount, like maybe start with a 10-minute walk. And that's all they could fit in. And you fit that into the areas where you don't have fixed things. And that's what I would start with. And I would do that for at least a month. So it's easy. Now it's a part of their life. They're like, oh my God, in like 10 minutes, John, you think it would do nothing? It does everything. It changes everything. And why? It takes us back to that anxiety reason of doing slow breathing. It takes us back into our parasympathetic nervous system. Because normally all day long since we wake up, especially if we're on our phone right away, we're in fight or flight. We're in sympathetic nervous system. But when you go for that 10-minute little walk, you go into your rest and digest, your parasympathetic nervous system, right? And this is the one thing that our like whole planet is missing right now. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. Because like, for example, like, in other cultures, they're relaxing.
Yes, I know a lot of people that are relaxing
In
somewhere else
Greece,
right now. Yes.
they're chilling, right? They enjoy their siestas, they enjoy their afternoons. They work, but they also enjoy.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I was actually having a conversation with another coworker of mine, and we were saying that's the one thing that we love to hate, and we hate to love them, because they don't take life seriously, but they just take it and just enough seriously.
Yeah, I like that. You can't, what is it, work to live or live to work?
Yeah,
That's the same concept, right?
yeah, pretty much the same concept. So what would you say would be the easiest way for someone to get active?
Just videotaping you.
I think we just answered that, but
What's the easiest? Yeah, the easiest way is just to look at your time block, put in all the fixed units, and then wherever there is gaps, and I always start with the slowest and the smallest increment. So like if it's just 1 day a week, start with 1 day a week. If it's 2 days a week, start with 2 days a week. The slowest thing, because number one thing is you want to win. You don't want to be like an imposter, which I've done 1,000 times. Okay, I'm going to do 7 days a week, and then I don't do it, and then I'm feeling super guilty. I'm like, oh, or I might even feel ashamed of myself, like there's something wrong with me. Why can't I stick to it? So that's not good. So starting really small. And it's funny, but there's a lot of people that want to go all out, and I'm like, no, 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 no. You're at zero. If you're at zero, you don't need to do 7 days a week. Right?
yeah,
Doing 1 day a week is already moving you the right direction.
yeah. What is the journey to health?
Ooh, what is the journey to life? Because honestly, without health, you don't have a life. What's the point in working so hard and having a pension and having all this money if you have no health? You're on 8 medications. I know people in their 30s that are on tons of medications. Where's that going to go if you don't take back your health, right? So the journey to health it's kind of like what we talk about, journey to healing, and it's a process. It's a step by step, and like it's instead of like normally like regular medicine. I'll show you an example. This totally makes sense. Regular medicine says, okay, healing looks like this. It's a straight line all the way up. That's what they say. But it doesn't look like that. It's more like you go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, you stay down, you go up again, you plateau for a while. So that's more of what it looks like. Right? And who knows if you ever get to the top. But the biggest difference is committing to the journey of health. Committing to the journey of your healing journey. I say that to all the time to patients. I'm just a teacher. I'm just a guide, right? It's up to you to make that commitment that you want to keep going, even if you fall and you got to get up and keep going. Like how many times have I asked patients, there's no dairy. Oh no, I can't do that. Okay. So they stay with the same symptoms. They get rid of dairy, the symptoms are gone. Right? But it's their journey, right? Or if they re-aggravate, it's their journey. So that's why it really looks like this. It's a bunch of scribbles. It does not a straight line.
It looks actually like my life, but
Oh, that's excellent. But I mean, it's true, right? It's true. The journey of health is one where you decide that you want to live a full, vibrant life, and you're going to commit to it. You're going to commit to keeping on progressing. In training, we talk about progressiveness, like progressing little bit by little bit. And every time I sit with the patient, I'm like, you got to be like a sponge. You're like a sponge. You're going to absorb what you really like. You're going to try it and integrate it, see if it works with you. And if it does, you keep that, and then you go back, absorb another little bit, integrate it, see if it works with you. Because what works for me might not necessarily work for you. right? So you
So
got to
true.
constantly be experimenting with yourself and seeing, like liver, chicken liver, like I get it. Like liver is amazing. Okay. It's amazing. It's a superfood. Everyone should be eating it. And I tell my patients to eat liver, but oh my God. Oh, the smell is awful. I remember like it's like a nostalgia thing from back home and I just can't handle it.
Are you kidding me?
I
I
really,
love liver. It's one of my favorite foods.
so I have to take liver supplements.
Is
How
it?
do you guys make your liver?
We fry it usually.
Okay.
We fry
With
it,
like a
but we don't
bay
eat.
leaf.
Yeah, we don't eat the chick. We don't eat chicken liver. We eat lamb's liver, goat liver. I think we had cow liver. I think
Okay. With
so.
like they do it with like a bay leaf and some garlic.
Yeah. Still, that still sounds pretty good. Bay leaf and the garlic and fried up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sign
It
me
just
up.
like stews in there with its own juices. Oh, so bad. But
Is
then
it?
again, here's talking to the person that used to I used to go pick snails,
I
like,
love
because I grew up
snails.
in Portugal. So I'd have
Yeah.
to, like, they would take me down to the ravine and there are these low bushes. They look like scary bushes. And you just pick snails off the bushes.
Nice.
And you bring them home, you wash them all the way through. They're still alive, by the way. And then you put them into a big boiler, like a big, big pot with all kinds of oregano and garlic and all this stuff to, like, yeah. So it's a big delicacy. I can't eat them
Sounds
now, but I used to eat them.
sounds awesome. Sign me up again.
Yeah, it's high collagen. It's crazy high collagen.
Yeah. It again in one of your I think this is an important question that we need to address. In one of your YouTube um, videos, you talk about bullying yourself.
Mm.
Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Um, yeah, that's a good one. I learned that term from someone else that I was listening to. I can't remember who it was now, otherwise I would name her. But it was more like, it's like, what do you say to yourself every single day? What are the comments that you say to yourself every single day? Because guaranteed, the way that, like, you and I, the way that we would treat each other, we would never, like, you would never say mean things to me, right? I would never say mean things to you. But when you're having that dialogue within yourself, within your own mind, so I mean, even I'll give you a full vulnerable example. I had told you recently that I had not been to the gym, sadly, in 7 days. I've been really busy and I set up a time to go because now you have to book it. And then I just didn't make it. And I was been feeling guilty. I'm 100% going tomorrow, but I've been feeling guilty. And from that, because I knew that I had higher stress, and this always happens, and you'll notice this in yourself, whenever you have higher stress and you're not getting the energy output, you're not getting that release, you'll tend to gain weight around your belly button, around the abdominal area. And I started, like, literally my bullying has been, oh, look, I can pinch something there now. Oh, like, look, I can pinch around the belly button. What does that mean? And I was like, literally today, all day, as I'm walking around, going there, I can feel my belly button. So I'm like bullying myself, telling myself, look, that's not good. Look, that's gross. I can't believe your stomach's not flat. Your stomach's supposed to be flat. Like, that's literally the dialogue that's happening inside my head. It's like, and meanwhile it's a bully because I would never ever say that to anyone else. Like, bodies are perfect, and consciously when I talk to you, I know that it doesn't matter 5 pounds over, 5 pounds under, 20 pounds over. It doesn't matter. You can be whatever weight you want because your value is not determined by your weight at all. My value is I am a worthy being. I am valuable, I am worthy of love, all these things, right? But that bullying aspect is putting me down, telling me, no, this is not good enough, this is not right. You're a naturopath, you're a fitness person. And so it's this constant nag, nag, nag. And it's like, it just gets tiring, right? You just can't be yourself. You just can't, like, because it's like nonstop. So one of the things that I'm doing now is like when I hear that voice come up, I kind of like, before I was always like fighting it, like, no, I don't want to hear it, stop. And now what I'm learning to do is like to see it. And if you want, you can write it down. I don't write it down, but I'm just like, I look at it and I'm like, oh, poor you. You're feeling sad today. You're a little bit disappointed. Like, not in a meaning way, but more like just to really like imagine it being like a little, little gremlin or a little child, that's talking to you. And you're like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. You're not feeling that great. It's okay. You're allowed to feel that way. And so all of a sudden, like giving yourself permission to feel those things, then it starts happening less and less because you're acknowledging it. You're not just trying to push away that feeling of unhappiness or unworthiness,
I think that's very important to say, because if you allow that voice to keep going, it can get worse.
Bigger, louder.
And I myself have experienced it, and I'm sure other people out there listening have experienced it in the past or currently experiencing it now. And I think that's important for them to understand that it's okay to hear it, try to understand what it's doing to you, and then just move on. Just allow
Or
it.
I can give you another tool.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's
I'm
do
all
it.
good for more tools.
It's a lot of fun. Okay, so I learned this from Lisa Nichols. Lisa Nichols is a motivational speaker. She went total rags to riches, crazy story, beautiful woman. Oh my God. If you ever get a chance to listen to her, watch her speak, she's on Mind Valley. She has a couple of courses on Mind Valley. She has her own system. She's amazing. Anyways, I watched one of her programs because I was like addicted to Lisa Nichols at one point. This is right in the middle of, what's it called again? Our business accelerator with London Real. So she taught me how to do this. So you make a line down the middle, and on one side you put lies, and on the other side you put the truth. Lies versus truth. And so we would start with that talk, right? And I would write my lie. So what my lie would be like, look, you suck. You gained all this weight and no one's ever going to be attracted to you, ever going to like you. That's the lie, right? The lie is you suck, you're fatter now, you gained this weight, and no one's going to like you. Okay? Then what would be my truth? Because that's a lie. I know that's a lie. I know that's a lie because even my experience, sometimes when I've been heavier, that's when I've attracted more men, which is crazy, or I've had old boyfriends that are like, don't drop weight, like stay plump, So some, so it just depends, right? Some guys are going to like you skinny. Other people are going to like you chubbier. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? The point is that that's a lie that I was telling myself. Look, you gained weight, no one's going to like you. That's a lie. So what would be the truth? Can you give me an idea of what would be the truth?
The truth is, you're perfect the way you are.
Yeah, I think that one would be really hard for me to say to myself, because that's the other thing you have to check. When you write your truth, you have to check with your heart, like, is this congruent? Does it really, really feel like that's true? For me to say that I'm perfect, I would never believe that. My inner mind would be like, I don't think so. You mean perfectly flawed?
Yes. Perfectly
Yeah.
flawed in your own way, and that makes you perfect. Like me,
Yeah.
I'm perfectly flawed in my own way. I have more flaws than you could shake a cat at. I can't even begin to tell you how many flaws I have. But you know what? It's just me.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So, okay, so that's a perfect example. So that would be your truth because it feels right for you and it makes you feel more grounded, more calm. So for me, when I say look, you gained weight, no one's going to like you, then I can say, you know what, actually, I know that it doesn't matter because men like women at different stages of everything from their age to their weight. So I know that different men like women at different weights. And plus, my guy, my divine man, right? My beloved, the guy that I'm still to meet, right? My guy will think I'm, like you said, will think I'm perfect no matter what.
Exactly.
Think I'm perfect no matter what, right? So then that becomes my truth. So then what happens is you write your lie and then you write your truth. And so for 30 days, you have to read both of them. You have to put it up on a wall and you have to read both of them. Read the lie and read the truth. Read the lie, read the truth. And after 30 days, you cross out the lie. You actually cross it out, physically cross it out. And if you want, if there's a line, you can actually just have just the truth. And for another 30 days, you say the truth. You say the truth for 30 days. You hit the wall, read it over and over and over again. And then that becomes your new program. Now, what's really crazy is I've done this. I did this for finance stuff. And I don't remember what the lie was because it's gone. It's been reprogrammed. I was thinking back to it. I was like, what was that I was saying to myself? And I couldn't even remember what it was because I had actually covered it completely with marker. And I was just reading the truth. And then the truth became real. And what's really cool is this was her technique that she did when she was getting herself out of like shitholes, literally, you know? And so she reprogrammed her mind without knowing the neuroscience. But there's neuroscience now to prove it. Now there's neuroscience showing that there's something called neuroplasticity, right? Which is a reprogramming of the neural pathways and new nerve growths that can happen when you think a certain way. That thinking a certain way causes you to feel a certain way. That feeling a certain way causes you to make choices and actions that are congruent with the thought, feeling, and action. So as long as you're thinking that new thought, feeling good about it, because like when I say, I know that men like women at all stages, plus my divine man's going to think I'm perfect anyways. That makes me feel good. So first my thought, then my feeling, and what's my action? My action is going to be like, I'll feel good, so I'm not going to sabotage myself. I'll probably go for a workout because I'm going to feel good. You know what I mean? And so the neuroscience, there's a South African doctor by the name Kat Leaf, and she's basically proven that for about, if you can do that reprogramming of the thoughts and the feeling associated with it for 53 days or something like this, that it totally reprograms, and they actually see the areas of the brain light up that are for more positivity in that area. And it's the same technique. It's just that new thought programmed for 60 days. It's crazy. It works. It's so simple.
Does this have anything to do with that, with the whole human transformation that you talk about?
That I talk about? What do you mean? Human transformation?
What exactly did you mean by mean by human transformation? Like, does this have anything to that molds into it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was playing with words and I was trying to figure out like how do you even like put into words what I've been through, because as you know, right, I'm a health coach. I'm a naturopathic doctor. Yes, I do blood work and I do all that stuff, but I'm also a health coach. And for me, my clients that I like to work with a health coach are because I'm 2 steps or 3 steps ahead of them. I'm ahead in their journey. And so I was trying to figure out how to like say what I've been through. And it's been a complete transformation, you know, where it's like in your body you transform, in your food you transform, spiritually I'm connected and meditating every day, I'm transforming. My beliefs and my mindset, my ability to not react to things that would normally, you know, would upset me. Now I'm just like, bless you, it's okay, you know, let's drop it. Like How do you even encompass that? So that's why I said full health transformation, because it's like every like area. If you look at a wheel and you see like spiritual transformation, health transformation, career, finance, like all those areas are being transformed. So that's what I meant.
Okay. So what are some of the tools, or just if you can give us just one or two tools that you would use to help uh, do that human transformation thing?
Okay, well, one of them is for sure to write down every single lie that you've been telling yourself. That's already a really hard one. And if you don't want to start there, one of the things I ask patients to do is to do something called a brain dump. A brain dump is you take one day, or you can even do half a day, and you basically take a piece of paper, divide it in half, and you go through your whole day and you just like monitor what's going on in there. What is that voice saying? So it's like, if you're late, oh, I can't believe it, you're late. You're always late. So you write down, you're always late. That's the voice inside your head, that bully, right? And then something happens and you mess up. And it's like, oh, I can't believe you did that again. You know? So you're making note of all your brain dumping. You're dumping out all those automated negative thoughts. Because when you get conscious with them, then you can take them onto the board and start to rework one at a time. One at a time. Can't do it all together, one at a time.
That's really cool. That's a really cool tool. I don't even want to go inside my head. It's a scary place.
Well, you could do like the first 30 minutes.
I'm afraid of 2 seconds.
Well, that's one. And then the second thing I would ask people to do is to find a container. Find a space, find a mentor, find a mastermind, find a program like yours, find something so that they're not doing it on their own. Like, how much money have you and I spent on mentors? I'm still spending money on mentors. It's like, you know, you need other people that have already done it to guide you. Mm-hmm. There's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than that. Because doing it on your own, oh my God, it's like going around loops. You're like, oh, I'm still here. Haven't changed anything. Oh, wow, I'm still here. Still feeling pretty shitty. Haven't changed anything. Oh, I'm doing the same things again. How the hell did I get here again? And next thing you know, you're 40 years old. And this is my story. You're 40 years old. You have no kids. You have no family. You've just been going around reliving everything and going through the same thing until finally you wake up and you're like, no, I got to change that. And it's powerful to be in a community, right? Look at the relationship that you and I have now. It's amazing. I feel so grateful, and thank God it's worth every single penny.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I feel the same way. And I remember, was it 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, we actually met up, and you actually did a lot of work on me. I had an epiphany that night. You do this work of removing blocks. You had me go into my past, and I dove deep into my past, and you may help me with coming to terms with what had happened in my past. I'm sure you people out there have heard my story before, where I almost committed suicide and everything, and because of peer pressure and my whole world coming to an end. And Dr. Horta actually helped me with coming to terms, not removing, just coming to terms and accepting that point in my life, so I can move forward. And I not just move forward, I just skyrocketed. So have you used that with anybody else and seen stuff like that with them?
Yeah, 100%. So the process is called the Heart Freedom Method. Heart Freedom Method. And it was written by this doctor, Dr. Lise Janelle. This is one of her books called Conversations with the Heart. And she explains everything in her book about how to understand what happens is when we go through something traumatic, something painful, we tend to store those emotions inside our body. Everyone thinks that emotions are just out there, but no, they get stored in our tissue. Just like if you were in a, knock on wood, if we were, hurt by a car or something, then we would have that trauma inside our body. But so anyway, so whenever emotions are stored or locked in here, we have to find a way to connect with the body, allow the body to show us what emotions are stuck there. And usually you find out it's an emotion when you were like 4, when you were like 12, or when you were 21. Like, it's just a long time ago, those emotions, but they're kind of like they're driving the car, even though like you're in your 40s. And these old emotions from back then are driving your life, So it's just a technique where you can go in and you can see what's going on, who's in there, and what they're feeling, what beliefs are they feeling, what stories are they telling, and then you come out being able to have wisdom and gratitude for that event. Because the truth is like in life, there's always positive and negative. It's never just bad, or it's never just good. It's positive and negative. Always. It's balanced energy in the world, the yin and yang. So I've done that with a lot of people, and like I've done over 73 sessions or something like that. It's really, really high. Yeah, it's been really cool. And I don't know, it's definitely, it's not for the weak at heart. It's for people that want to do the work. You have to have courage. You had courage, you leaned in, it was amazing. And when you lean in and you're vulnerable like that, like you were, that's when you see the transformation. Because when you're kind of like, oh, I want to do this, I want to kind of heal, but I'm going to stay here and I'm going to stay close and I'm not going to really feel everything, you're not going to expose everything, then you can't really go in and heal it, So it takes a lot of courage, I think.
It does. Yeah, it does. Really does. It's funny. Ever since that day, I've been having like I've been going back into my past, and I'm like, oh, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. It's like one domino after another, and I'm like going back to like when I was like 7 years old, 8 years old, and I'm like, whoa, where did this come from? So I'm like, and I just did what you told me to do. Just say that's okay, that's fine. We learned from it. We're in a good place, and I'm still trying to listen to what I was trying to tell myself in the future. Still can't hear it.
Yeah, that's
Either I,
amazing.
either I will actually, when I get there, I'll know what I was saying to myself now. Or I'll figure it out somehow. uh, we've also talked about some kind of stuff, not here, but from before, like brain food. What are brain what are brain food?
Brain food, I like to call brain food anything that actually supports the function and the protection of the brain. So two things that would be ideal brain food would be high omega-3. And we know with omega-3, it's actually really good for anxiety and depression as well. So omega-3s are essential fatty acids that you can get from fish, you can get it from wild game, you can get it from algae, chia seeds, hemp hearts. And then the other brain food that supports the brain would be protein. And believe it or not, almost everyone and their mother is low in protein. It's actually, I was listening to this researcher, she studies gerontology. I forgot her name now, but anyways, she basically speaks about how that's one of the biggest issues in getting older. It's protein deficiency. Everyone's protein deficient. Now, if you have kidney problems, obviously this is not an option for you, but protein deficiency all the way for your brain to support the cognitive functions of your brain.
In one of your other YouTube videos, you've talked about Dr. Joe Dispenza and the placebo effect. One, what's your takeaway from that book? And two, do you think that the foods and the supplements that we take can be a placebo effect to us?
That's a good question. So my first great of the book is that he was able to take a really hard subject and make it readable and still use science in like mixed into it, which is really powerful, because that's whenever you go into the energetic world, it's kind of like, oh, it's woohoo, but meanwhile he brings science into it, because a lot of his whole entire book, it's like study after study, right? Like the one that I mentioned was the one in Vancouver, where people were like, told that they were going to get a drug that had dopamine in it, specifically for Parkinson's people, and they took it. And they had crazy spikes in dopamine when they did it all, like it was an RCT trial, it was totally legit, double blind and everything. And their dopamine levels shot up. Meanwhile, it was just a sugar pill. So, I mean, the therapeutic power of even a doctor working with you, if that doctor has confidence and tells you what intention that they have in terms of your diagnosis, you're going to change. That's why it's so funny whenever you hear these doctors or the medical system, the conventional system, they're told to just be real, like just tell them what the numbers are. But then it doesn't really help with their guidance, because some of them will go down and others of them will, survive it and get challenged by it, But the second part of your question was, can vitamins and minerals and stuff be like a placebo? So it's a yes and a no. So the reason why is because your whole entire body, when you're looking at healing is done. This is the healing triangle. So depending on what you need healing, I would 100% say that I would say 55 to 65% of diseases are in the mental, emotional, or energetic realm, where there's something there that's blocking you mentally, emotionally, or energetically, maybe even transgenerationally, that is affecting your healing. Okay. But then out of those 65, so there's another like 35 to 40% that could be due to other factors. Like it could be a physical thing at the bottom of the triangle, physical structural problem. Like, we had a friend that was in a car accident. Okay. There was physically, structurally something wrong, right? Her body was aching. She had internal bleeding, So that's a physical thing that we need to fix. But then there's also on the other side, biochemical nutrient deficiencies. So if you're mental, emotional, and you're totally fine, then you got to look at the other areas and see what else is needed. Just like fertility. Fertility is a perfect example. Most of the time, the first thing they do is they rule out all the structural problems in the healing before they move on to anything else, right? So if you're taking vitamins and minerals because we've done your blood work or we've done your urine test and your magnesium is low, every single cell in your body needs so much magnesium, especially when you're under stress. So if you take magnesium, is that a placebo? No, not at all, because your cells are actually deficient in it. Just like vitamin D. I see vitamin D deficiency all the time, even in the summertime. Joke. Meanwhile, it's such an important hormone for our whole entire body.
Yeah, I've been slacking on those vitamins,
Yeah,
vitamin supplements. I need it. I know I can feel it too, because
that's why. How about sun? People go on vacation, they're in the sun, they're like, oh, it was because I was on vacation. No, I was like, because you got a double, triple, quadruple dose of vitamin D all at once.
Yeah.
And now your body's like, optimize. So is it placebo? No. If you're not deficient and you get all that vitamin D, you'll get sick because you'll go overdose.
Yeah. We touched up on this next question in one way. Journal affirmations. Can you go a little bit more into what a journal affirmation is?
Yeah. So affirmations you are affirming something that you want to say for yourself, for your life, and you affirm it out loud. And it's something that you want to practice. There's actually in positive psychology, there's some good research on affirmations and them causing your overall well-being to be better, your quality of life to be better when you're using these positive affirmations. And affirmations could be anything. It could be like, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am wise, you just start with like your I ams, right? I am, like, sometimes in the morning I'm having an extraordinary day today, and just like you start just saying these affirmations and somehow it becomes what you manifest,
So is it like that list that you said where you put all your lies and all your truths? Could you use that
The,
as a journal of affirmation?
no, the lies and the truth, that's actually reprogramming your beliefs in your brain. That's just reprogramming your old beliefs into your new belief, your old story into a new story that you want to be telling yourself regularly. So you could take that and create affirmations out of it. 100%. You could do that. So if you take your truth, the truth is that I know that men like different women and that my divine loves me as I am. So then my affirmation would be like, I am loved by someone who adores me. It would be, you know what I mean? You could take this and move it on to that. But normally you make a list of things that you feel really good about, like I eat nourishing foods. I am a wealth of knowledge. I am prosperous. Just start saying things that you really, really enjoy. I mean, there's so many examples of good affirmations. There was one that was like on a YouTube and it was like constantly replaying and it was like, I am successful. I am a great speaker. I am a good communicator. And it was just like tons of I ams. And to be honest with you, the most important thing is like maybe picking 1 to 3 max that you really, really believe and that you say every single day. Because if there's any incongruencies, your body's not going to follow it, right?
Yeah. And this is something that you can use to keep yourself on track.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be honest with you. Kat that you had on one of your other podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
She explained to me that in shamanism or in her folk medicine, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Hopefully, please don't be offended, Kat, if I'm saying it wrong. But in her medicine, she says that she teaches to just say one affirmation, just one, like I'm surrounded by love, let's say. I am surrounded by love. I am surrounded by love. And so you're supposed to say that affirmation 500 times, even like those little prayer beads. Imagine the little beads and you're walking around with the beads. I'm surrounded by love. I'm surrounded by love. I'm surrounded by love. I'm surrounded by love. And so that becomes your affirmation all day long, 500 times all day long. And then you use that same affirmation for 5 to 6 months. That's how she teaches it. She taught that to me. I haven't done that, although I am using just one affirmation right now. Before in the past, I would have made like a list of like 3 to 5 affirmations, but now I'm only using the one that I learned from her, for myself. And my new affirmation is I am in charge of my own safety. I'm in charge of my own safety. I'm in charge of my own safety. It's very interesting, but I'm saying it over and over, and it actually makes me feel really good. But I'm in charge of my own safety, and I'm having fun with it.
That's good.
So that's what I've started doing. I don't do it 500 times, but it's funny because in my everyday I journal, and in my journaling, it actually comes up in my journaling a lot, where I'll remind myself I'm in charge of my own safety.
I know there's a lot of high performance people. One old man who lives in a castle, and
Dan Penna!
yeah, Mr. Dan Pena himself, and he loves doing his affirmations. A problem that I find with myself with affirmations is I have a very bad short-term memory. 6 concussions has a tendency of doing that to people. So I forget what I was affirming yesterday. So I just make up a new one. Or I might just forget it completely, not to do one at all. I'm like, all right, today, what do we have to do? This.
Yeah. It has to be part of your process though. Like for me, I'll wake up super early to have myself, like I have an hour and a half for myself. It's a lot. I know a lot of moms would probably not want to hear that because I know they don't have a lot of time, but it's pros and cons, right? They have a family, I don't. So this is like, it's pros and cons of everything in life. There is no good without bad. That's something Dr. Lee's really taught me, and it's so true because you sit back and you're like, oh, look, you have all this time. You can do all your affirmations. Well,
Come walk in my shoes.
yeah. I think for you, if you put your affirmation on your door every single day, just have one, and then look at it every single day and hit it and say it out loud before you leave the door, that would be the best thing, or on your computer.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
Same
Okay.
one though. You pick one, that's it. And it has to really feel good in your heart.
Okay, cool. I will do that. I think I know which one I'm going to use, and I'm going to do that.
Yeah, good.
So, I always have these closing questions that I ask all my guests.
Okay.
Um, with the increase in the people suffering from depression from this current lockdown, what's the one thing that you could tell them to keep their hopes up?
With respect to depression,
Yeah.
so this touches home for me because I had clinical depression for 8 months. And I think if there was anything I wish that someone would tell me, well, the first thing is what helped me was just one step. Just one step. You can do one step. So just take one step. And then after you take that one step, just one step. And then you take the one step, and then just one step. That's how I actually got to my counselor's office once a week, by taking one step. I did not want to get out of bed. I didn't want to lift my sheets. I didn't want to move my legs. I didn't want to get the pillow. Like, I didn't want to walk to my washroom. I didn't want to get in the shower. I didn't want to walk to the streetcar. I didn't want to make it to school. It was a shit show. That's full depression. There's no want of anything. There's no joy in anything. There's no point to anything. So the one thing that helped me was one step. I can do one step. I don't know how the hell I did it, but do one step. So that was a really powerful word. Just one step. Just one step. You got one step. Just push yourself one step. One step. But in terms of like like from naturopathic solutions, 100%, 100%, you have to get eating right. The brain needs fuel. You absolutely have to be active. Your brain needs circulation. So those two things, eating and circulation, getting some, like even just doing a sprint, just run down the sidewalk and then walk back home. Run down the sidewalk and walk back home. Just do it once. And it will cause a shift 100% in your brain, because you're going to get a rush of dopamine. Everything that you don't have, you're going to get a rush of serotonin. And I know that's ridiculous, because it's like, how are you going to ask someone who's depressed to actually run? They don't want to run. They don't want to do anything. There's no way. They can't. But you can. You got through it. I got through it. There's 100%. There's a huge light. It's like, come this way. Let me show you.
Yep, exactly. So where do you see your practice in the next 5 years?
Oh, wasn't that a sneaky question, isn't it? Very sneaky question.
I try.
Well, with COVID, I see myself still seeing patients, just a smaller amount of patients. Maybe 8 patients a week would be ideal. Just because I really like giving high quality, and I want to be able to spend as much time as I can with them. And I work on all those levels. So I want to be able to integrate all those levels with patients, talk the mental emotional, do the subconscious stuff, do the eating stuff. So definitely less patients, higher quality. And then I really see myself working with a team of women, collaborating, programs for empowering, for strengthening self-love, self-confidence, self-esteem for women. And I'm already starting that slowly but surely. So that's something that's happening in the next 5 years. And then the courses that we built, that is something that I'm like full throttle in right now. And I'm really looking forward to everything being set into place, because there's so much value in those anxiety courses that I built, like so much value. And if people, like, for super cheap price, like if you can't afford to go see a naturopath for $200 an hour, you can pay $40, or $50 for like a program that will really help shift you, right? So getting those programs out to people.
Cool.
So yeah.
Cool. And we're going to be posting your all your links here in the show notes. So everybody has easy access to all your programs and everything.
Amazing. Thank you.
What about you personally? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Another sneaky question. With this whole COVID thing, I'm like, 5 years is like a really big stretch. So how about we just talk about this week? No, I'm kidding. Honestly. Oh God. That's a good question. I know in my heart that in 5 years, I will have complete alignment with my heart. And that's something that has not happened in a long time. I realize that I've been doing a lot of things to prove to people that I'm worthy, to prove that I'm good enough, to prove that I'm smart enough, to prove. And it's actually mainly for my family. That's what I've been doing. I've been proving myself to my family. They don't actually care. Like, they don't want me to prove anything to them. My parents love me unconditionally. So does my brother. But I've realized through the work that I've been doing, the self-work that I've been doing, that I've been proving a lot and proving that I'm good. I probably was proving myself to ex-boyfriends too, hey, pick me, I'm good. And so now that I'm been doing this work, this really conscious, deep work, I'm coming out of it and I'm like aligning with my self-worth, aligning with who I am as a person, really acknowledging all the pieces of me, like, wow, you went through university. Wow, you went through grad school. How the hell did you finish that? Wow, you really acknowledging. This year has been the first year that I'm actually acknowledging everything that I've went through and how hard it was and how I want to give myself credit for those things and appreciate myself and love myself. So yeah, it's a big deal. So in 5 years, I really I hope it happens sooner. I'm going to set the intention for it to happen sooner, but I want full alignment. Like, imagine this beautiful white energy just flowing through me, my heart completely cracked open, not afraid of anything, giving love to every single person I see, in alignment with every single day with what I'm doing, giving, and helping to activate healing in others still. That's really important. Cool. Yeah, and definitely being by the ocean. 100%. That has to happen.
That's really cool. I'm with you on the ocean part, by the way.
Well, you never know. You might have to come. I'm starting a commune for anyone that's over, I don't know, maybe in late 60s, 70s. I have a big group of people that are all like-minded, loving souls, living, working in the same area. I think would be great. Yeah. Who wants to grow old by yourself? I mean, half the time, many people pass away and you're by yourself, right? Yeah. So it's nice to start a big community of people and healers and leaders and health and wealth.
Yeah. If you could pick up the phone and call yourself at 20 years old, what would you tell yourself?
I would have told myself, dream for something, vision what you really want, vision what really connect to that happiness. Like, what gives you pleasure? What really brings you joy? What's that dream that would bring you so much joy? And connect with that, and then put everything away except for going for it till you get it, and then go for something else. That's what I would have told myself.
Very cool. Looking back, would you change anything?
Zero. I would not change a thing, because we wouldn't be having this conversation, would we, if I did change anything?
There you go.
I am who I am because of all the experiences I've had, whether it's shitty experiences, whether it's good experiences, whether they're neutral experiences. We needed all of them to be who we are right now. And once you can say that, you would not change one thing. You would relive it all over again. That's when you have freedom. And
Amen
that
to
was
that.
from my mentor, Dr. Lees.
Amen to that. What keeps you up at night?
You can go from that to that. What kind of questions, man? What keeps me up at night? Oh, yeah. I don't think anything has been keeping me up. Well, I mean, like, you know, my grandparents are a little bit older right now. They're like in their 90s. So I think about them and what the next step for them is and being there to support them and stuff. So that's one thing that's keeping me up, but not really. Like I still sleep, but that's what I think about.
Wow, lucky you. You still have them around.
Yes.
My
Every day.
last grandparent passed away 4 years ago.
Wow. Did you
Well,
ever write anything about them? Did you ever like really mourn them?
Yeah, I'm not gonna touch that one.
Okay, we won't go there. But one of the
my
techniques for
my
mourning would be to write a letter.
my grandmother, when she passed away in the 1990, that one hurt because she was like my second mother. That was the closest I've had with any of my 4 grandparents. The other 2 grandparents were in Greece. I didn't really live them. I didn't really know them. I mean, when they passed, I felt bad, obviously. But my grandfather here, yeah, that wasn't a good relationship. Not a good relationship. I mean, it had its moments where it was good, but there was like, yeah, it just that was a bad relationship. Just in the
Mhm.
whole general scheme of things, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
Where can people find more about you?
You can go to www.and as in David, reiachristina.com, andreacristina.com, or Instagram at love, DRDREI, love Dr. Dre.
And again, for everybody out there listening and watching, all the links will be in the show notes. So it's easy access to Dr. Andreia Horta. So you guys can get all the wonderful programs that she has and her
Steps.
her anxiety 6-step course is actually really good. I've gone through a couple of the steps because I'm not the best person to be doing these stuff. I should be, but I'm not. But they're really good. I know Dr. Horta from, like, again, the London Real Business Academy, and we work together on coaching each other and helping each other, get our products across. Any final thoughts?
Never ever give up on yourself. You come into this world by yourself, you leave by yourself. Don't ever give up on yourself.
I love that. Andrea?
John.
I appreciate you for everything that you do. You have a very, very bright light in this world, and I really appreciate you. All the stuff that you've done for me outside of London Real, and this conversation has magnified who I am and where I'm going. So for that, I am always grateful for you. And I want everybody out there to know that. And I want everybody out there to really, really, really look at her programs. They are out of this world, and they will do stuff to you that you had no idea that you were capable of. So I appreciate you for all the work that you do. No, that's something else.
Thank you. I appreciate you for doing this too. So thank you.
You're welcome. Going through hard times is just a test. What you need to know is that when you do get out of whatever you're going through, you will be stronger than ever before, and you don't need to go through it alone. Always know that you are not alone. Stay tuned for more real people with amazing stories just like yours. Until then, to everyone out there listening, I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, or a good night, wherever you may be in this crazy world.